Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Not as satisfying as body slamming Andre the Giant in WrestleMania 3, but listening to O'Connor and Company will give you a rush at times, and we're here for it. Thanks for tuning in here at 7:07 on this Friday in your nation's capital. Coming up in 30 minutes, we'll check in with Stewart Whitson, the Republican nominee for that special election for Congress, as early voting in Northern Virginia begins today. 8:05, Steve Moore will give us his assessment of that remarkable meeting between Trump and Jerome Powell at the Fed. And at 8:35, Chuck Thies, D.C. political analyst, on some new developments with the football stadium deal and Senator Mike Lee trying to rein in the way the district council does business in this town. That's all coming up. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka.
Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. And by the way, folks, Larry and I are twinsies today. We are wearing a bright blue.
Yeah, honestly, when the two of us are right next to each other, people it's like, which one is Patrice, which one is Larry?
They think we're twins, you know? I mean, we're not identical twins.
We did.
Well, maybe not identical, fraternal.
Down by the bathroom. Yeah. And Giaritelli is the immigration reporter at the Washington Examiner, and she's been covering some developments down in the Sunshine State. She joins us now. Hey, Anna, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
We know that the federal government, through the Department of Homeland Security, has set up a self-deportation program. When last I checked, I think they had announced that they had about 1 million people who had taken advantage of this. They'd used the app. They'd voluntarily left their country. They got their flight paid for. They got a cash payout. And then they can get in line to legally immigrate to this country. It seems like a great idea. Florida, as usual, seems to be stepping things up even more. At the state level, what is Florida doing?
Florida is certainly on its own path. The state is the first now in the nation to have its own self-deportation program, specifically for immigrants who were encountered by Florida Highway Patrol officers during traffic stops, brought to a local Border Patrol facility, and then put into removal proceedings. So those people are now being given a chance to voluntarily depart the country. The state will pay for their flights to go back to their country of origin. And, it's a pilot program that's just been rolled out in the last few weeks.
This is like a night and day comparison to states that have sanctuary programs where if, you're pulled over for a traffic stop or even a more serious offense, shoplifting and other felonies, if you're in the country illegally, local law enforcement are compelled to stay silent and not say a damn thing about it to federal. That's what happens in sanctuary jurisdictions. And Florida's like, oh, hold my beer. We'll show you what we're going to do. That's really robust.
Exactly. Florida, under the Biden administration, Texas was the leader in the red states. It was the one who was fighting back the hardest, which made sense because it had the actual border problem at its back door. Now, as the Trump administration has focused on the interior of the United States, the border is secure. Florida is the one who's going to bat, leading the charge for the red states. And DeSantis, this is just another move that he's pulled out that, kind of blows the mind. You're like, oh, I never thought of that before. And I think it's something that other governors can definitely, look to.
Well, I think something else that other governors can look to is how do you deal with illegal migrants when you're detaining them? And, I think this idea of alligator Alcatraz, it's fascinating. There's the visual image and even hearing the term is so interesting. And you were there for the grand opening. Would you like to share with us, what was most surprising for you when you visited?
Yeah, having been to Border Patrol and ICE facilities, the Alligator Alcatraz is a state-run facility doing a federal job detaining people. It was, granted it was empty, but it was a really I'm trying to think of the right word. It was surprising, right? It was really a nicer facility than certainly ICE detention facilities or jails where people are held. The spaces were really wide open, really bright, certainly very cold, and despite the heat outside and the mosquitoes. There's been pushback for the cages or the fences that are in the bunk rooms for large spaces. But the alternative is putting up cement walls so you can't see through. So, I mean, I think altogether it's a better facility in terms of how they've constructed it than most normal ICE or Border Patrol facilities.
Well, Anna, how do you explain the disconnect? Because we've had Democrat lawmakers go down there, look at this facility, and say that it's, they've compared it to an internment camp or a gulag or something. I mean, how do we get? Is it pure politics? Can somebody look at the conditions and objectively say, okay, I mean, it's not the Ritz, but these are also people who are in the country illegally, who have been apprehended because they violated the law, and they're in the process of being deported. So, the facilities are about what you would expect for that sort of thing. It's just weird to me that we have such a disconnect other than just pure politics.
It is, yeah. And if you go to a jail, a county jail or a prison, you're going to have one or two people in rooms that are with, cement blocks, very small spaces, very confining. Mm-hmm. This space was wide open. I mean, you had hundreds of people in one large tent, sleeping on all different bunk beds, and they're all separated by chain link fencing. And while it looks like, there's cages and people are living in cages, that's done so for the airflow, for one. You need that AC so that people can see through and don't feel confined in that space. And so I have to wonder what would be the appropriate or the best way to set up a facility like this, unless you're willing to spend tons and tons of money to have massive rooms for each person. You have to wonder.
We're speaking with Anna Giaritelli. You're with the Washington Examiner. I would love for you to debunk some of the myths that we're hearing about where ICE apprehensions are actually occurring. For example, we're hearing that people are being apprehended in churches or medical facilities. Is that happening?
No, here's the thing. Earlier this year, the Trump administration reversed where certain sensitive places that ICE could make an arrest. Those were churches, mm-hmm. schools, and hospitals. That it obviously infuriated the left, and Democrats and immigrants' rights groups were very concerned. But since that began, we have yet to see an instance where any of those spots have been targeted by ICE. And here's what I mean. ICE is not saying we're going into this church to go arrest people inside the church. ICE is not saying we're going into this hospital to find a certain man. Mm-hmm. If anything, they're arresting some people on those sites, but they are going onto those sites because someone they tried to arrest at a home ran onto church property or ran into a school. And so then they go after. Yeah. So it's been certainly portrayed, I think, a different way out of people who are concerned or just misunderstanding the actual facts of the event.
So, real quickly, just in terms of the politics of this, is that first of all, it's good policy and it seems to be effective, and it certainly works hand in glove. The new self-deportation policy in Florida with President Trump's nationwide policies. Is this also Ron DeSantis's reemergence as a national figure here? I said this is quite a comparison between sanctuary states. Gavin Newsom's running for the Democrats, probably J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, maybe Kathy Hochul in New York, but there's also, basically, if you're a Democrat, you've got to oppose Trump. This is a way for DeSantis to say, no, I'm robust, I'm all in on this. If there's a side-by-side comparison between DeSantis and Gavin Newsom and how they handled their states, I mean, it's quite a story to tell. Do you think that's at play here?
I think that's such a good point, Larry, because, Ron DeSantis could just be governing like most other red state governors right now and support the Trump administration, but doing, what he needs to do, not doing a lot. And he is constantly rolling out new things to help the administration with illegal immigration, with the deportation.
Right, he wants to make the case that he was Trump's wingman in Florida.
Yeah. Yep. And I think you're right. I mean, he'll be able to say, hey, listen, I came up with new plans no one else was doing, and it worked. So I think he's certainly putting himself in a really good position, not just to be another Republican, but to say, I know what to do, and we could take these things national. I think it's certainly,
Great reporting. Check out the byline, Anna Giaritelli at Washington Examiner, where she covers this stuff in a very deep and intensive way that gives you a lot of facts. Appreciate it, Anna. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Anna.
Thanks so much.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
The iconic, real American entrance music for the one, the only, an American original, Hulk Hogan. Found out yesterday afternoon, Hulk Hogan passed away in his home in Florida. They always say it comes in threes, Patrice.
Yes.
And for people who came of age in the 80s, like yours truly, a Gen X dude, you had Theo Huxtable, you had Ozzy Osbourne, and now you have Hulk Hogan, all passing away within the same 7-day window. It sucks, if I may say.
Yes, it does. Even us old millennials, it deeply touches us to lose two of those. I mean, I don't know about Ozzy Osbourne, but but Malcolm Jamal Warner and the Hulk, yes.
Yeah, well, Hulk Hogan certainly transcended so many different entertainment platforms. In fact, I first got to know him or understood who he was with his sort of cameo appearance in Rocky III, where at the beginning, like, the Rocky character is just sort of doing these bizarre money-making appearances, and one of them was with this giant, I think his name was Thunder Lips was the name of the character that Hulk Hogan played. And it was hilarious. And, of course, Hogan just sort of kicked Sylvester Stallone's butt until then, as usual, Rocky, turned it on.
Prevails,
But he was just magnetic. And what a, physical specimen. And, I mean, listen, this is a D.C.-based political commentary show, so you can't really talk about Hulk Hogan today without referencing his coming out just this year, or last year, I should say, as a red-blooded, Trump-loving Republican. He was the one who introduced Donald Trump at the RNC. And boy, on the night when Donald Trump, after the week before surviving an assassination attempt, Donald Trump comes and gives this, after the arrests and after the fake prosecutions and the Mar-a-Lago raid and everything, Trump's triumphant return to the convention to give his acceptance speech. And only Hulk Hogan could upstage that, and he did.
What happened last week when they took a shot at my hero?
And it was at this moment when he took off his sport coat and revealed he was wearing an iconic sleeveless T-shirt.
And they tried to kill the next president of the United States. Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
Listen to that crowd. And, of course, as he was saying that, he was ripping out the outer T-shirt, revealing a red Trump Vance sleeveless T-shirt underneath. I mean, come on.
What a showman. But I was a little girl watching WWF. It was WF at the time.
That's right.
And when he would rip his shirt open, it was like, whoa, look at this guy. And I've watched over the years. I even watched a few years ago when he had his reality show with his family, his daughters. And you saw another side of Hulk Hogan. And I mean, while I love the wrestling Hulk and the TV and movie actor Hulk, it was touching when I saw him get baptized. I believe it was last year or in 2023, December of 2023, he was baptized.
He was baptized. Yeah, it was very
exactly.
sweet.
And he's called that on social media the greatest day of his life. And so there's something about someone who recognizes what matters most, and you can have the highest of highs and still come down to realize what is the enduring legacy that you want to leave behind when you have passed on. My heart is joyous, actually, even though we've lost the Hulk.
Yeah, his movies were hilarious. He was a character. He was just himself. He created this iconic persona. And by the way, if you remember, there was a sex tape scandal that the website got. Just Gawker was one of the most odious, despicable websites that basically stalked celebrities. They got a hold of this sex tape. He sued them over privacy concerns, got a huge judgment, and drove Gawker into bankruptcy and shut them down. So that was a heroic move, too, in my opinion. I'll never forget, in the heyday, in my opinion, the heyday of the WWF, with Rowdy Piper and the Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth and all that. And I remember I had a girlfriend at the time, and I was watching, one of the WrestleManias that I had paid for on pay-per-view, and she was like, "This is all fake, This is all fake." And I turned to her and said, "I don't care. Of course it's fake. It's entertainment, though."
Exactly.
And you cannot. I don't care if it's fake and it's staged and it's scripted and it's choreographed. You cannot deny the physicality and athleticism of what these guys did. Some of these guys ruined their bodies with steroids to be able to do what they did.
But you know what? It was men being men. I mean, there is something even today. Wrestling is still wildly popular. Why? Because you know who the men are and you know who the women are. And the men are not effeminate and the women are not masculine. I mean, yeah, they have some big guns, but they're women. They're still women.
I wish you were there to talk to that
there's something
girlfriend.
about wrestling that just releases the natural urge of masculinity and femininity when we
Let's
are
go,
when we're
Patrice.
jumping from the side of the ring and clocking another lady.
Yeah, that girlfriend did not last very long. It's 7:24.
All right, coming up, Virginia's 11th District nominee, Republican Stewart Whitson, will be joining us. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 7:30.
WMAL-FM Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:37. It's O'Connor and Company here. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Coming up later in the program at 8:05, Steve Moore on Trump's visit to the Fed yesterday, and then at 8:35, Chuck Thies on all things D.C. politics. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody.
It is. It's not just Friday, the 25th day of July, the last Friday of July, but it's also the first day of early voting in the special election for Congress, Virginia's 11th District, which shows James Walkinshaw, the Democrat member of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors and the hand-picked successor to Jerry Connolly, because after all, congressional seats are really meant to be sort of inherited and sort of passed on.
Down to your heirs.
Yeah, through a will and legacy, and just sort of you should always be able to pick your successor, because Lord knows we want a new way and a new perspective on how to represent the people of the 11th District, right? Or hear me out, just spitballing here, maybe you could go with an incredibly impressive professional Stewart Whitson, who is a Army veteran, a former FBI agent, and the Republican nominee for that same seat. I don't know, Mr. Whitson. Seems to me like maybe it's time for a change in Virginia 11.
Hey, good morning, Larry and Patrice. You sold me. I'm convinced. But you know this.
Good. That's one vote.
Yeah. So, you got one, right? Hey, so Larry, you know this too. The Democrats have had a stranglehold on this seat for 16 long years, and this is the scary part. If my opponent wins, they're going to hold this seat for even longer, probably 25 years. Wow. There can be no doubt this guy will fight to raise our taxes just like he's done for years in Fairfax County, and he's going to wage war on every single thing we hold sacred, including our children. This is a race we have to win, but here's the good news. This is a race we can win. With the special election, all the dynamics that come into play, this really is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to take back this seat. And how do we win, Larry? It's simple. We need every single Republican who lives in the 11th District to vote early. And early voting starts today.
Today's the day, early voting. And Stewart, listen, I don't think I've been watching your social media and I've been watching your activities. No one's going to claim after the fact that Stewart Whitson sat on the sofa and took a day off. You've been everywhere. And as you talk to voters, are you getting the sense that the issues here are on a national scale about what's going on in Congress and with the White House, or is it really more about what's going on in the backyard of individual voters in Fairfax County?
Yeah, you're spot on. It's the voters care about the issues that are our bread and butter issues, right? They want the economy to be fixed. They want affordable groceries. They want economic opportunities. They think taxes are out of control and that my opponent has continually raising taxes is out of control. And guess what, Larry? They want to be safe. They want their families protected. They don't want the DEI woke ideology being pushed on their kids behind closed doors. And that's not just Republicans in our district. That's independents, and even Democrats are just fed up. The Democrat Party of today is not the Democrat Party of 10, 20 years ago. Yeah. It has been hijacked by radical groups that are taking it in all different directions, and there's a lot of people that are just fed up with that. And you can see that in the different campaign styles that we're running between me and my opponent.
Well, Stewart, you had I guess kind of a candidate forum recently with the Nepali community in Chantilly. I thought that was really interesting to reach out to a unique demographic in the district. What were some of their concerns? Because you had both, from what I understand, Republicans and Democrats represented. What were they really bringing to bear, and how are you able to respond to their top concerns?
Well, I'll say this. I was blown away by how welcoming they were. I came in, there's over 50 folks. It was just such a warm welcome. But one of the first comments out of their mouth was, why don't Republicans come here? Thank you to you for coming here and meeting us. And they said, but so many Republican candidates in the past just assume we're Democrat, but we're not. We care about our families. We care about the economy. And so that's part of our campaign is literally just show up. Just show up and be there. And I don't take it for granted. I'm not entitled to anyone's vote. Even Republicans, I'm not entitled to their vote. I have to go out and earn that. And that's what makes me different from my opponent. I mean, there's a lot of other things that make me different from my opponent, but that's one of them.
Well, listen, Stewart Whitson, if you're hearing that taxes and the crush of high taxes are a major concern for residents of the 11th District, I mean, your opponent has never met a tax increase that he hasn't loved. His record is pretty clear in that respect. I mean, that should be an easy argument.
Yeah, you're spot on. And it's not even just tax increases. It's also voting to increase his own pay. So crime was on the rise in Fairfax County. We were short 200 law enforcement officers. And guess what my opponent did, Larry? He voted to give himself a 45% pay raise for doing what's considered a part-time job. So people in our district are struggling to pay for groceries, and this guy's focused on lining his own pockets. Yeah. What do you think he's going to do when he gets to the federal level? I mean, it's an easy choice. The choice couldn't be easier. We're two entirely different candidates. But again, we have to turn out and vote if we want to have change.
So what do you need right now? Real fast. I know early voting is today. What's the call to action?
So turn out to vote today. Make a plan. It's at Fairfax County Government Center. I'm already here right now at the Government Center. I'll be here from 8 to 9 a.m. to welcome the first wave of voters. But my big message to your listeners is simple. If you're tired of being silenced by the radical left, if you're tired of woke DEI policies being pushed on our kids behind closed doors, if you're tired of career politicians like my opponent continually raising your taxes and robbing your family to give himself a pay raise, then it's time for change. It's time to elect me, Stewart Whitson, to serve you in Congress. But you have to show up and vote. Please turn out and vote. If you come early and you vote early, it's not just banking your vote. It's letting us shift our resources to the other folks who haven't voted yet. So it can be game-changing. So please vote early, and I'll be here today at Fairfax County Government Center. And then the Reston location, which is North County Government Center, that's open from 1 to 7, and I'll be there at 1 p.m. So I'm looking forward to seeing you. Please come up and introduce yourself.
Since the first day I met him at that candidates forum that I was fortunate enough to be asked to moderate, I keep coming up with the same word about Stewart Whitson. Impressive. An impressive man, and he's going to work tirelessly if he should get this win in this election. Thank you, Stewart. Get back to work now.
Thanks, Stewart. All the best.
All right. Thanks so much. Great to be with you both.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Patrice, we were reflecting on the loss of Hulk Hogan here, and you had said, that was an era where men were men and women were women, and women embraced femininity and everything. Well, a lot of people think that we've got a bit of a renaissance here in this country. You hear people say, we're back, baby. We're so back. And, well, here's another example. I bring you, ladies and gentlemen, Sydney Sweeney, a curvaceous, blonde, bombshell actress who just launched a new round of ads for American Eagle jeans. Here's one of them. Let me paint the picture for you. She's wearing a jeans like a bodysuit sort of thing, or a jumpsuit. And the buttons on the top are unbuttoned down to, let's say, mid-cleavage area. And she's got an ample amount of it. And, well, take a listen.
My body's composition is determined by my genes. Hey, eyes up here.
Sydney Sweeney has very keens.
And the camera pans down to sort of focus on the aforementioned cleavage. And you know what? It's a little naughty, and she goes with it. She flaunts her curves on a regular basis, and the people are saying that this is a bit of a cultural moment where beautiful-looking women are being used to sell products again.
It's wonderful. I hope that this signals the death of this body inclusivity garbage. I think I went to Victoria's Secret's webpage just this morning while prepping for this segment, and I saw slim, curvaceous, and not curvaceous as in size 22 curvaceous, but curvaceous as in size 2 ladies trying on lingerie and clothing. So, I mean, I do think that this is a moment where people are abandoning even the celebrities who made their money off of being heavy. Are now saying, no, I'm going on Ozempic. I want to get that slim body. So I think we're done with that ridiculous body inclusivity, or body positivity, which is all fake anyway.
Maybe, but not all companies have gotten the message. I regret to inform you that Sephora and Ulta, they are embracing a different kind of femininity, the masculine kind. The type of femininity that sells women's cosmetic and skincare products utilizing a bearded man wearing a dress. Take a listen to this.
We're going to see what Jamie hair looks like at Ulta for the first time. It's going to be Ulta fun. Okay, let's see it. Who's that? She's so pretty. I got highlights since then.
Oh, Lord. All right, that's Jonathan Van Ness from Queer Eye. Who is also a political activist on behalf of trans issues. And is it me? Julie Gunlock made this point. This is a guy who's pushing 40. He's like 38, 39 years old. He puts a dress on. He's got long hair. He's got a beard. He doesn't act like a woman. He acts like a 12-year-old girl. And this is the same as Dylan Mulvaney, too. This is beyond sort of whatever mania puts you in the mindset of dressing up like a woman, because they're not dressing up like women. They're dressing and behaving like little girls, and it's just creepy. And I don't understand why companies like Sephora and Ulta embrace it and celebrate it.
I don't either. It's not going to sell them any more money, any more product. In fact, it's a turnoff. I like to go to Sephora all the time to get makeup, and if I see this ad, you might hear a story about. No, I won't vandalize anyone's property, but they haven't gotten the message. But I also understand that Ulta has dug in pretty deep on kind of being the face for the place where trans interested individuals can get their beauty supplies. So they're going to be the last on this train to hop off.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I was watching the Sydney Sweeney ad again.
Oh, goodness, Larry.
Oh, it's 7:55.
Come back to us. We're still on air.